This moment is not an accident. What you are hearing right now is not a random occurrence, nor a fleeting whisper of chance. This is a divine moment, a sacred appointment. The heavens have orchestrated this very moment for you, and you have been drawn here by a force far greater than mere circumstance. God's love is calling you, and He has led you to this very place, at this precise time, not by coincidence, but by purpose. Understand, the love of God for you is beyond what you can grasp with your natural mind. It is unshakable. It is deeply personal. It is the kind of love that does not falter, does not abandon, and does not give up. It is constant, relentless, and it pursues you with an intensity that transcends any love you've known in this world. The world may have tried to label you, chosenones, to define you by your failures, your mistakes, or the wounds you carry, but when God looks at you, He sees His beloved child. He sees you, not through the lens of what you've done, but through the lens of who He created you to be. God has been pursuing you all along, long before you even recognized it. Every tear you've shed, every struggle you've endured, every battle you've fought, it's been seen. Your obedience, your moments of surrender, and even your doubts have not gone unnoticed by heaven. You may feel small, unseen, or overlooked by the world, but the truth is, heaven has been echoing your name, your journey, your heartache, your victories. Each of them have reached the throne of God, and He delights in you. This message you're hearing right now is not just a word of comfort. It is a word of destiny. It is a word that has been tailor-made for you, because God is calling you to something greater than you have ever known. This is not just about hearing words. It's about awakening to the truth of who you are in God's eyes. You are not here by chance. You are here because God, in His infinite love, has marked you as His own. I want to invite you to step into this moment with me. Open your heart, not just to the words, but to the life-changing truth that is about to be unlocked. Take a moment to reflect on the truth of God's love. Feel the weight of His affection for you, the depth of His pursuit, and if your spirit bears witness to this truth, I encourage you to engage with this message. Like it, share it, and most importantly, comment below where you're from. Drop your city, your nation, because you are not alone. This is not just your journey. This is the journey of the chosen ones across the globe. Let's unite in the knowledge that we are called, we are loved, and we are marked for a purpose. As you engage, remember that every act of faith, whether liking, commenting, or sharing, is an agreement, a covenant response to the love that God has already poured out for you. When you engage, you're saying, Lord, I receive your love, I believe in your promises, I will walk in your purpose. This simple action is a seed that goes beyond generosity. It's a declaration of your willingness to be part of something greater. So, don't just hear this word. Let it settle deep within you and begin to transform your life. Heaven is singing your name, the creator of the universe, the one who flung the stars into place, the one who spoke the galaxies into being, is right now whispering your name in love. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are His beloved. And this truth will forever change the trajectory of your life. Now, take this step with me. Allow yourself to feel this truth deeply. You are loved, you are chosen, and this message is for you. This is your divine moment. Let it begin now. There is a love in this world that is unlike anything we could ever fully comprehend or replicate. It is a love so deep, so boundless, that it defies every limit we know to be true. The love of God is not some fleeting emotion, like the love we experience from others. It is not swayed by moods or conditioned by circumstances. It is not a love that is earned by good behavior or measured by our performance. This divine love is constant, everlasting, and utterly unshakable. It cannot be tarnished by time, nor is it influenced by our imperfections. Human love, as deep and meaningful as it can be, is often fragile. We are familiar with love that burns brightly for a season, only to fade as time passes, or when obstacles arise. We know love that feels conditional, often dependent on our actions, our successes, or the way we make others feel. This is the love that the world knows, love that sometimes disappoints, love that can be fleeting, and love that leaves us searching for more. We give it, and sometimes we take it away, but the love of God is a completely different force. It is not rooted in who we are, but in who He is. God's love is a steady flame that never flickers, a constant presence that cannot be dulled by our mistakes or flaws. This divine love doesn't ebb and flow with the tides of our behavior. It is not tied to how well we perform or how many times we fall. It remains unwavering, unchanging, and it pours over us endlessly. The love of God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It doesn't depend on our righteousness or our track record. It doesn't hold us to some distant standard or ask us to jump through hoops to earn it. No, God's love simply is. It is an enduring truth that stands strong regardless of what we may have done or how far we feel we've strayed. When we speak of God's love, we are not speaking of a theoretical or abstract idea. We are speaking of something profoundly personal. This love does not stand far off from us, observing from a distance. No, it draws near to us, fills every corner of our lives, and touches the deepest parts of our hearts. God's love is not just something He does. It is who He is. It is intimate, personal, and unrelenting. His love doesn't wait for us to reach a perfect state before He pours it out upon us. It finds us where we are broken, wounded, confused, and unsure, and wraps us in the warmth of divine care. It steps into our mess, fills the empty spaces, and tenderly whispers that we are enough just as we are. Think about that for a moment. God, the creator of the universe, the one who holds the stars in His hands, is personally and intimately in love with you. His love is not a distant concept or a far-off idea. It is a love that meets you where you are, at your lowest, at your highest, and everywhere in between. There is no place you can go, no situation you can face, where God's love does not surround you. This love is with you in your pain, in your joy, in your confusion, and in your certainty. God's love does not wait for you to clean yourself up before reaching you. It doesn't matter how many times you've stumbled or how many mistakes you've made. His love embraces you in your imperfection, and it refuses to let you go. When others may have walked away or turned their backs, God's love has always remained, steady and true, waiting for you to return to it. It is a love that does not falter, no matter the circumstances, no matter your past, and no matter your fears. This love changes everything. It transforms our understanding of who we are. It takes us from brokenness to wholeness, from uncertainty to confidence. Once you truly grasp the depth and unyielding nature of God's love, you will never be the same. This love, rooted in His nature and not in your performance, brings freedom. Freedom from fear, from guilt, from shame. It gives you the courage to stand tall, knowing that you are deeply loved by the one who created you. You are not just another face in the crowd. You are His, and His love will never leave you the same. It will carry you through your darkest moments and elevate you to heights you never thought possible. This is the love of God, a love that doesn't just support you, but transforms you. A love that holds you, heals you, and moves you forward in your divine purpose. The love of God is not just a passing feeling or an occasional gesture. It is the very essence of who He is, and it endures with a force that time itself cannot touch. The depth of God's love goes far beyond anything we can comprehend, but we must attempt to grasp it, because in understanding this love, we find the key to our identity, purpose, and peace. It is a love that is eternal, unfailing, and always in pursuit of us, regardless of the seasons we walk through. The idea of eternal love, one that has no expiration, no end, is hard for us to truly wrap our minds around. In a world where so much feels temporary, fleeting, and fragile, the concept of a love that transcends time, a love that never grows weary, is almost too profound to imagine. Yet, this is the reality of God's love. It is not like the love of human beings, which can often falter, grow distant, or even fade. It is not swayed by our moods, our actions, or our failures. It is a constant, steady force that remains with us through every trial and triumph. Jeremiah 31:3 tells us, "I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness." The very words used here, everlasting and unfailing, paint a picture of a love that cannot grow old, that will never tire, and that will never lose its power. Unlike the love we may experience from people, which can sometimes be conditional or limited, God's love does not get tired. It doesn't fade away when things get hard or when we mess up. It remains firm and unyielding, a constant presence in our lives. When we are weary, when we feel like we have nothing left to give, God's love still stands, unwavering. His love is not contingent on our successes or our failures. It is rooted in His unchanging nature. It is eternal because He is eternal. It will never end, no matter what storms we face or what dark valleys we walk through. In the darkest moments of our lives, when everything around us may feel uncertain, God's love remains the bedrock upon which we can stand. This love is a constant, living reality in our lives. When we feel like we've hit rock bottom, when we think we've done too much wrong to ever make things right, God's love remains, unshaken and unwavering. It is a love that does not abandon us when we falter, but that draws us closer, pulling us from the depths of despair to the heights of His grace. It is a love that holds us tight in the face of every fear, every hardship, every moment of doubt. God's love is not like a candle that burns out. It is like a river that flows continuously, with no end, no matter what blocks or obstacles may try to stand in its way. It is a river that carves through mountains, wears down resistance, and fills the earth with its abundance. So too, God's love fills every corner of our lives, flowing into the cracks and crevices of our hearts, until we are overwhelmed by its depth and its goodness. God's love is not passive. It is not a love that sits back and waits for us to find our way to it. No, God's love is a relentless, passionate pursuit. It is a love that chases after us, even when we feel undeserving or unworthy of it. It doesn't wait for us to clean ourselves up or to have our lives in perfect order before it reaches out. It seeks us out in our brokenness, in our mess, in our confusion. God's love doesn't look at us and turn away when we fail. It runs toward us, just as the Father ran to His prodigal son in the parable Luke 15:20. The concept of God's love pursuing us is not just a comforting thought. It is a powerful truth that changes the way we view ourselves and the world. God's love is not like the love we often experience on this earth, where people may love us based on our worth, our performance, or what we can give them in return. No, God's love is not swayed by how much we can offer or how well we behave. It is a love that is constant, regardless of our imperfections. It pursues us even when we turn our backs, even when we try to run away, even when we doubt or question His presence in our lives. This pursuit of God's love is not gentle or passive. It is powerful. It is consuming. It is a fire that ignites hope. When everything else feels cold, it burns away the doubt, the shame, the fear that we often carry in our hearts. It is a fire that refines, purifies, and strengthens us, even in our weakest moments. It is not a love that merely sits and waits for us to come to it. It is a love that goes after us, that seeks us out when we wander off course, when we stray from the path, when we find ourselves lost. In every moment of struggle, God's love pursues us. When we feel like we're not enough, like we've failed too many times, God's love whispers that we are still His. When we feel like we've gone too far, made too many mistakes, God's love keeps coming after us, calling us home. Just as a parent runs to their child when they fall, God's love races to meet us in our brokenness, our pain, and our confusion. Even when we are surrounded by darkness, when we feel unseen and forgotten, God's love is relentless in its pursuit. It knows no boundaries, no limits. It follows us into our quietest moments, into our deepest doubts, into the places where we feel most unworthy. It doesn't matter if we feel like we're too far gone. God's love always reaches us, always pulls us back, always calls us to stand again. This pursuit is not a one-time event. It is a constant journey. God's love never gives up on us. It doesn't tire. It doesn't back down. It follows us through every season of our lives, every trial, every triumph, every fall, and every rise. The depth of this love is endless, and its pursuit of us will never cease. No matter where you are, no matter what you've done, God's love is right there, chasing you, calling you, ready to lift you up and bring you home. When we truly grasp the depth of God's love, the eternal, unshakable love that pursues us no matter what, we begin to understand that we are never alone. We are never forgotten. We are never beyond the reach of His grace. His love is with us, surrounding us, and in that truth, we find the strength to face anything that comes our way. There is a profound truth that echoes through the pages of Scripture, a truth so deeply personal, so intimately tied to the very essence of who we are, that it shakes the core of our understanding of love. It is the truth that, in the eyes of the Creator, we are not simply names or faces in a vast crowd. We are not overlooked or forgotten. We are engraved on the palms of His hands. And in that engraving, we find the proof, the evidence, and the guarantee of God's unending love for us. In the book of Isaiah, we are given a remarkable picture of God's love for His people. Isaiah 49:16 declares, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me." The imagery here is powerful. God's love is not a mere afterthought or a passing sentiment. It is a love that is etched, permanent, and unshakable. It is the image of a God who has, with deliberate intention, carved our names into His very being, so that with every movement, every act, every extension of His hand, He is reminded of us. He is reminded of you. To be engraved in someone's hands is no small matter. When we think of engraving, we think of something that is permanent, something that cannot easily be erased or undone. It speaks of something vital, something of great importance, something that is etched deeply into the heart of the one who bears it. This is not a casual inscription or a fleeting mark. This is a declaration of ownership, a permanent seal of love and commitment. God does not simply remember us. He holds us in His hands as a living, breathing reminder of His endless care for us. When God stretches out His hands, our names are there. When He moves in power, He carries us with Him, engraved in His divine memory. He will never forget us, never overlook us, never set us aside. The hands that formed the stars, the hands that split the seas, the hands that bore the weight of the world, those same hands bear our names. This is not a metaphor, it is a reality. You are engraved in God's hands, permanently. His love for you is inscribed on His very being. This image goes beyond the simple idea of remembrance. It's a love that is ever present, always with Him. When we feel invisible, when we feel forgotten, we can take comfort in knowing that God never forgets us. The engraving on His hands serves as a constant reminder that we are His, and His love for us is not fleeting, but eternal. It is a love that is as permanent as the scars on His hands, the scars He bore for us. The engraving on God's hands is not just a symbol of His love. It is a reminder of the deep, intimate connection He has with each of us. In a world that often leaves us feeling invisible or unknown, the truth that God knows us intimately is a revelation that can change everything. Our identities, our destinies, our stories are not lost or forgotten in the grand scheme of the universe. They are engraved in the heart of God, and they matter deeply to Him. God's knowledge of us is not superficial or distant. It is not like the knowledge we have of one another, which can often be limited or based on external appearances. No. God's knowledge of us is complete and total. He knows every part of us, the hidden parts, the parts we hide even from ourselves. He knows our fears, our dreams, our pains, and our joys. He knows the very number of hairs on our heads and the number of breaths we will take before we leave this earth. But even more than that, He knows the depths of our hearts. He knows our motivations, our struggles, and the desires that move us. And yet, in all of this, He still chooses to love us, to call us His own, to call us by name. This is a love that is personal, that is not just directed toward a nameless group of people, but toward you, toward me, toward every single person who has ever lived. God's love for you is not theoretical or abstract. It is deeply personal. He knows you, really knows you, and He loves you despite it all. His love is not based on the version of yourself you present to the world, but on the truth of who you are in His eyes. You don't have to perform to be loved by God. You don't have to be perfect to earn His affection. His love is given freely, because He sees you for who you truly are. And still, He calls you His beloved. And even more than knowing us, God has a purpose for us. That's the beauty of being engraved on His hands. Our existence is not random. Our lives are not insignificant. In the vastness of the universe, where it might seem that we are merely specks of dust, God is intimately aware of every moment of our lives. He has a plan for each of us, a destiny that is marked out before we even took our first breath. Just as He engraved us into His hands, He has engraved our purpose into His divine will. Our lives matter, and our stories are woven into the grand tapestry of His eternal plan. If heaven never forgets us, neither should we forget what we mean to God. There are moments in our lives when we feel invisible, overlooked, or abandoned. We might struggle with feelings of inadequacy or worthlessness, thinking that no one sees the pain we carry or understands the battles we fight. But God sees. He always sees, and His love is the proof that we are never alone. The engraved names on His hands are a testament to the fact that we are never far from His heart. And if we are so deeply engraved in God's love, how can we forget the truth of who we are in His eyes? How can we allow the noise of this world to drown out the truth that heaven has never stopped declaring our names? God has chosen us, and He has a purpose for us that stretches far beyond what we can imagine. This love, this deep, personal love, is not something that we should take lightly. It should awaken something within us, a boldness to step into our calling and live out our purpose with the knowledge that we are fully known and fully loved. As we live our lives, we must remember that we are engraved in the palms of God's hands. Our identities, our worth, our destinies are not up for debate. They are secured by the love of the Creator, the one who holds us close and never lets go. This is not just a truth for the good days. It is a truth for every day, in every struggle, in every victory, in every quiet moment. God is with us. He is engraving His love deeper into our hearts, and in doing so, He is calling us to rise higher, to live bolder, and to walk in the confidence of knowing that we are loved, seen, and cherished by the one who holds the universe in His hands. In the face of fear, doubt, or rejection, remember this truth. You are engraved on the palms of God's hands. Your name is etched into eternity. Heaven will never forget you. You are loved, and that love will carry you through anything. In the journey of life, there are moments when everything seems uncertain. The path ahead may feel clouded with doubts, fears, and confusion, leaving us questioning our place in the world. But in these very moments, When it feels like we are lost in the darkness, that is precisely when God's voice calls us most powerfully. His call doesn't echo from the shadows or from a distant place. It is personal, piercing, and it carries with it the weight of our divine destiny. God's call is not a passive invitation. It is a summons. It is not simply a request. It is a command to rise, to step into the fullness of who we were always meant to be. When God calls, He doesn't call you by your past mistakes, your failures, or the labels others have placed on you. He calls you by your true name, by the name He gave you before the foundations of the world, a name filled with purpose, potential, and divine intention. There is no greater proof of God's loving pursuit than the way He calls His people in the midst of their darkest moments. Think of the story of Hagar, who found herself alone and abandoned in the wilderness, with her back pressed against the weight of rejection and hopelessness. She had been cast aside by the very people who were supposed to care for her. Yet in her deepest moment of despair, God saw her. He called her by name, reminding her that she was not forgotten, not forsaken. He revealed Himself to her as El Roi, the God who sees. And in doing so, He reminded her that her life had purpose, even in the most desolate of circumstances. Or consider Moses, wandering in the desert, far removed from the life he once knew, living as a mere shepherd in the wilderness. But it was in that very wilderness, in the quiet of the desert, that God called Moses to something far greater than he could have imagined. Moses had fled Egypt, ashamed of his past. Yet God met him where he was, and called him to deliver an entire nation from oppression. God didn't see Moses as a murderer or a fugitive. He saw the leader that Moses could become, and He called him to fulfill that divine purpose, even when Moses doubted himself and felt unworthy. And what about Mary, a young woman from a humble background, living in a small town, who was not looking for fame or glory? She was living a simple life. Yet God chose her to be the vessel through which He would bring salvation to the world. In the midst of uncertainty, fear, and the potential for societal rejection, God's voice called her by name. Mary, He said. And in that moment, He entrusted her with the unimaginable, carrying the Savior of the world. God's call did not wait for Mary to feel ready or perfect. It came to her in the midst of her humbleness, her simplicity, and it gave her the strength to say yes to her divine destiny. These stories are not isolated to the pages of the Bible. They are an ongoing reality for us today. Just as God called Hagar, Moses, and Mary, He is calling you by your true name. In the midst of your life's wilderness, struggles, or confusion, you may feel unworthy. You may feel invisible, or perhaps you've been told by the world that you are insignificant. But none of that is how God sees you. When He calls you by your divine name, by the identity He has destined for you. He is not calling you by your past failures or mistakes. He is calling you by the truth of who you are, in His eyes, His beloved, His chosen, His vessel of purpose. God's call is not dependent on where you've been or what you've done. It is not swayed by your present circumstances. It is rooted in His eternal plan for your life, a plan that was set in motion long before you were even born. His call is a call to step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be, not to remain stuck in your past or in the disappointments of the world. When God calls, it's not a soft whisper in the wind. It's not a suggestion, not a request, not a gentle nudge. It is a powerful, commanding voice that shakes the very core of your being. It is the voice of authority, of creation, of the one who holds the universe in His hands. And when that voice speaks your name, it is not just an invitation. It is a divine summons to rise up, to take hold of your identity, and to step boldly into your purpose. The moment God calls your name, everything changes. It is not a passive word, floating in the air with no real weight. No, it is a call to action. It is the same voice that spoke the world into existence, the same voice that calmed the storms, the same voice that raised the dead to life. And when that voice calls you, it stirs something deep within you. It awakens something that was dormant, something that you might not have even known was there. The call to rise up, to stand tall, to be who you were always meant to be. God's call is a declaration of your true identity. The world may have tried to label you, to define you by your failures, your weaknesses, or the mistakes you've made. But when God calls, He calls you by the truth of who you are in Him. He calls you by your destiny, your purpose, the unique plan He has for your life. No matter what others have said about you, God's voice speaks louder. No matter how many times you've stumbled or fallen, God's call remains steadfast. It does not change, and it does not fail. This divine call is not just about what you do. It is about who you are. It speaks to the depths of your being, to the heart of your purpose. It calls you to rise above the noise, to ignore the doubts, and to step into the fullness of your divine identity. It calls you to rise above the labels the world has placed on you and to embrace the identity that God has always had for you. The power of God's voice is transformative. When He calls, everything within you stirs. It is the call to take hold of your destiny, to stand in your purpose, and to walk with the authority that God has already given you. It is a call to stop living beneath your potential, to stop allowing the world to dictate who you are, and to start living in the fullness of your divine purpose. When God calls your name, it is not a quiet suggestion. It is a declaration of the truth about who you are and who you are destined to be. So, when you hear that voice, know that it is not just a whisper. It is the voice of creation, the voice of the one who sees you for who you truly are, and who is calling you into your divine purpose. And when that voice calls, you have no choice but to rise, to take hold of your identity, and to step into the fullness of your destiny. God is calling you now. He is calling you by name, not by your past, not by your mistakes, not by the labels others have placed on you. He is calling you by your true name, the name that reflects your divine purpose, your true identity, and your heavenly destiny. When you respond to His call, you are stepping into the life that God has always had for you. You are rising from the ashes of your past, stepping into the greatness that He has already written for you. And in that moment, everything will change. You will rise, and you will be who you were always meant to be. The human heart, though it is capable of boundless joy, can also carry a deep and burdensome weight. This weight comes from the wounds, the doubts, and the fears that we accumulate over a lifetime. We struggle with insecurities, we battle shame, and we are often paralyzed by the nagging thought that we are not worthy of love, especially not the kind of love that we so deeply long for. In moments of failure, in moments of uncertainty, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we are beyond redemption, that we've gone too far, made too many mistakes, or failed too many times to ever truly be loved. These thoughts become chains that bind us, preventing us from experiencing the fullness of God's grace and love. But here is the undeniable truth. God's love is not deterred by our imperfections. It is not contingent on our success or our ability to measure up. His love is relentless. It pursues us with an intensity that goes beyond our understanding. It doesn't wait for us to get our lives together before it reaches out. It doesn't look for a polished version of us, a perfected version of our lives. No. God's love seeks us in our brokenness. It finds us when we are most vulnerable, when we are most lost, and it holds us through our darkest moments, never letting go. It's human nature to wrestle with doubts, especially when we feel unworthy of love. We ask ourselves, how could God love someone like me? How could God love me after all I've done? After all I've failed to do? These questions don't arise from the truth of God's love. They arise from the lies the enemy whispers to us, from the lies we tell ourselves about our own value. It's easy to look at our failures and believe they define us. It's easy to look at our past mistakes and think they are the final word on who we are. But God's love doesn't see us through that lens. His love doesn't measure us by the mistakes we've made, the regrets we carry, or the things we wish we could undo. Instead, God's love sees us through the lens of His grace. It doesn't matter how far we've wandered or how deeply we've fallen, God's love is there, reaching out to pull us back to Him. The love of God is not conditional on our ability to be perfect. It is rooted in His nature, in His goodness, and in His desire to see us whole again. When we find ourselves struggling with doubt and shame, it's often because we've lost sight of this truth. God loves us because of who He is, not because of who we are. It's not about our performance, our righteousness, or our ability to meet some standard. It's about the depth of His love for us, which has no boundaries, no limits, and no conditions. Even in our darkest hour, even when we feel we've done the unforgivable, God's love is still reaching toward us, still calling us home. The parable of the prodigal son offers one of the most profound illustrations of God's relentless, unconditional love. In this story, a young man feeling trapped by his circumstances and seeking freedom demands his inheritance from his father and leaves home. He wastes all that he has in reckless living, finding himself eventually destitute, hungry, and broken. He is far from home, far from the Father's love, and deeply ashamed of what he has done. But in the moment of his lowest point, when he is on the verge of giving up, he has an epiphany. I will go back to my father. He decides to return, not as a son who is worthy of his father's love, but as a servant hoping for mercy. He rehearses his apology, filled with guilt and shame, ready to accept whatever punishment his father might offer. What happens next is nothing short of miraculous. The father, seeing his son from a distance, runs to him, embracing him without hesitation. He does not scold him, does not lecture him on his mistakes, and does not demand any restitution. Instead, the father wraps his arms around his son and declares, "For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." This is the essence of God's love. It does not wait for us to be perfect. It doesn't demand that we prove our worth before He accepts us back. God's love meets us in our imperfection. It pursues us, even when we feel unworthy, even when we've gone astray. Just as the father in the parable saw his son long before he could ever reach him, God sees us in our brokenness, in our shame, and runs to us. He doesn't wait for us to clean ourselves up first. He embraces us as we are. And in that embrace, He restores us. The story of the prodigal son is a powerful reminder that God's love is not transactional. It is not based on what we have done or failed to do. It is not based on our performance or our ability to make things right. God's love is simply given, freely and abundantly. He doesn't wait for us to have it all together before He pours His love out upon us. In fact, He loves us even more deeply in our brokenness, because it is in our brokenness that we most clearly see the depth of His grace. The key to overcoming doubt and shame is embracing the truth of God's unconditional love. We have to stop believing the lies that tell us we are too far gone, that we've made too many mistakes, that we are unworthy of love. These lies come from the enemy, designed to keep us from walking in the fullness of God's grace. When we allow shame and doubt to define us, we block the very love that can heal us, restore us, and set us free. God's love is not a passive, distant force. It is a love that actively seeks us out, that calls us by name, that wraps us in its arms even when we feel unworthy. It is a love that is not earned, but given freely, no matter where we are in life or how far we have strayed. When we embrace this truth, when we allow God's love to permeate our hearts, we begin to walk in the confidence that we are truly loved, no matter what. We stop measuring ourselves by the world's standards, by the mistakes of our past, or by the opinions of others. We begin to see ourselves through the eyes of God, who calls us His beloved, His chosen, His precious. God's love is not a fleeting emotion. It is a fierce, unyielding force that will never let us go. It is a love that calls us to rise above our shame, to cast aside our doubts, and to step boldly into the future He has prepared for us. Just as the Father embraced His prodigal son, God's love is ready to embrace us, to heal us, and to restore us to our rightful place as His children. So, when doubt and shame come knocking at your door, remember this: you are loved, you are chosen, and you are always welcomed home by the arms of a Father who never gives up on you. His love is not based on your perfection. It is based on His grace, His mercy, and His eternal commitment to you. When you believe in this love, when you receive it fully, it will transform your life in ways you never imagined. The love of God is not just a soft embrace meant to comfort us in our struggles, though it certainly does that. No, God's love is far more than that. It is a force that has the power to transform every part of who we are. It redefines us. It takes the broken pieces of our lives, the failures, the regrets, the doubts, and it breathes new life into them. When we experience the depth of God's love, it changes us in ways that we cannot fully comprehend, yet we begin to feel its effects as we rise above the limitations of our past and step into the fullness of who we were always meant to be. God's love is not passive. It is a dynamic, transformative energy that reshapes our identity and renews our purpose. It calls us to rise from the ashes of our past and walk boldly into the future He has prepared for us. And as we walk in this love, we are not just surviving, we are thriving. We are not just drifting through life. We are marching forward with intention, authority, and confidence. This is the power of God's love. It gives us the boldness to overcome, the freedom to step into our calling, and the purpose to live a life that reflects the greatness of the One who created us. Before we truly understand the depth of God's love, we may find ourselves walking through life with a sense of confusion, uncertainty, or even inadequacy. We may look at our past mistakes, our failures, or the labels the world has placed on us, and we might feel like we are defined by these things. We might feel small, unworthy, or insignificant, believing that our past is too dark or our mistakes too great to overcome. But God's love does something incredible. It strips away all of those false identities and replaces them with something far greater. When we step into the fullness of God's love, we begin to see ourselves as He sees us, not through the lens of our mistakes, but through the lens of His grace. He sees us as beloved, chosen, precious, and filled with purpose. God's love redefines who we are. It takes us from the shame of our past and propels us into the boldness of our future. His love gives us new eyes to see ourselves no longer as broken people defined by our flaws, but as children of the Most High, called to walk in His power and authority. Our identity is rooted in Him. No longer do we have to prove ourselves to the world or seek validation from others. We are not defined by what we've done or what others think of us. We are defined by God's love, and that love is the truest and most powerful force in the universe. It gives us the confidence to rise above our failures, our past, and our insecurities. When we know that we are loved by God with an everlasting love, we find the strength to stand tall in the face of life's challenges. We no longer shrink back in fear, but instead, we walk forward with courage, knowing that we are His and that His love is with us every step of the way. This love transforms our purpose. Before we were loved by God, we were aimlessly searching for meaning, often feeling lost and disconnected. But when God's love enters our lives, it ignites a new sense of purpose. We are no longer wandering without direction. We are walking in alignment with God's plan for our lives. His love empowers us to step into the unique calling He has placed on our hearts. It gives us the boldness to pursue our dreams, to chase after the passions He has set within us, and to live lives that reflect His glory. When we are rooted in God's love, We are unshakable. Life storms may come. The world may try to knock us down, and the enemy may whisper lies of doubt. But God's love holds us steady. When we know that we are deeply loved by the Creator of the universe, we understand that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand in the way of the purpose He has for our lives. Our destiny is not fragile, it is secured by the power of God's love. This love surrounds us, and when we are surrounded by it, we cannot be moved. There is a boldness and confidence that comes with knowing that God is with us. His presence fills every corner of our lives, and His love infuses us with strength and courage. When we walk in the assurance that God's love is unshakable, we no longer fear failure or rejection. We understand that our lives are held in the hands of the One who is bigger than any obstacle we may face. When we are rooted in God's love, we stand in the authority that comes from being His beloved children. We no longer allow the opinions of others or the circumstances around us to define our worth or our direction. Our identity is found in God, and that identity gives us the strength to rise above the noise of the world. We move forward with clarity, with purpose, and with a sense of unstoppable momentum because we know that we are walking in the will of God. This unshakable foundation gives us the freedom to step into our destiny with confidence. We no longer hesitate or second-guess ourselves. We don't question our worth or our place in this world, because we know that God has called us, and He has equipped us for the journey ahead. His love provides the stability we need to face the unknown, to take risks, and to pursue our God-given dreams. When we are rooted in God's love, we walk with the understanding that we are not alone. We are not navigating life on our own strength. We are walking in partnership with the Creator of the universe, who goes before us, behind us, and beside us. He surrounds us with His presence, guiding our steps and providing us with everything we need to fulfill our purpose. The road ahead may not always be easy, and we may face obstacles and challenges along the way. But when we know that we are anchored in God's love, we can face these challenges with courage and resilience. We understand that no matter what comes our way, God's love is unchanging, unshakable, and ever-present. We are His, and nothing can take that away. God's love gives us the boldness to walk into rooms with confidence. Knowing that we belong there, it allows us to face every challenge, not in our own strength, but in the strength that comes from knowing we are empowered by the love of God. When we walk in God's love, we walk with a sense of divine authority. We no longer shrink back in fear or doubt. We rise to the occasion, knowing that God is with us and that we are equipped for whatever He calls us to do. This is the power of God's love. It transforms us into who we were always meant to be. It takes us from a place of uncertainty and fear to a place of boldness and confidence. It allows us to walk in the fullness of our divine purpose, knowing that nothing can stand in the way of what God has ordained for our lives. So, today, as you walk in the knowledge of God's unshakable love, remember that you are destined for greatness. Your identity is secure in Him, and your purpose is undeniable. You are not just a survivor, you are a conqueror. You are not just walking through life, you are walking in your divine calling, empowered by the love that never fails. Step forward with confidence. Step forward with authority. Step forward knowing that God's love will never let you go, and His purpose for your life is unshakable. This is your destiny. This is your time. You are loved, you are chosen, and you are unstoppable. And as you walk in the fullness of God's love, you will fulfill the purpose He has set before you. Nothing can stand in your way. Chosen ones, it is time to rise. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not someone left behind, abandoned, to wander through life without direction. No, you are a divine creation, called by name, chosen by God, and wrapped in the depths of His unfathomable love. It is time to embrace that truth, to step fully into your identity, and to walk with boldness into the purpose that has been written in the stars before you ever took your first breath. Every whisper of doubt, every shadow of shame that tries to creep into your heart must be silenced, because the truth is this: you are beloved, you are chosen, you are not forgotten. The Creator of the universe, the one who holds the oceans in his hands, has personally set his eyes upon you. His love for you is unshakable, and his purpose for you is unwavering. The destiny he has set before you is not contingent on your past, your mistakes, or the world's opinions of you. It is a divine calling that stands firm, unmovable, anchored in his eternal love for you. It's time to leave behind the lies that have held you back, the lies that tell you that you're too far gone, that you've failed too many times, or that you're not worthy of the love God has for you. It's time to stop rehearsing your failures and to begin declaring your future. The future God has for you is one of victory, hope, and purpose. He has already gone before you, preparing the way, filling every step with his guidance and presence. All that is left for you to do is walk with confidence, knowing that you are walking in the will of the one who created you, who loves you, and who has a great plan for your life. You are not meant to live in fear, in shame, or in doubt. You are meant to live with authority, with hope, and with the strength that comes from knowing that you are a child of God. The love of God is your shield, your armor, and your foundation. When you walk in his love, you walk with the courage to face every challenge, the clarity to pursue your purpose, and the power to overcome any obstacle that stands in your way. Now, I invite you to declare your readiness. Declare it with your whole heart. Say it out loud. Say it in your spirit. I am ready to walk in my divine calling. Reject shame. Cast aside the weight of your past mistakes and step into the future God has already prepared for you. I want to hear your declaration. Type 777 in the comments if you are ready to walk boldly in your purpose. If you believe that God is calling you to something greater, something powerful, and something destined for greatness, type 777 now. And as you do, remember this: your actions today are part of something far bigger than you can see. This isn't just about you. This is about the divine plan that God has been unfolding since the beginning of time. Every step you take in his love is part of that plan. Every declaration you make today is moving you closer to the destiny God has set before you. The path is already paved, the victory is already won, and now it is up to you to walk in it, knowing that his love will guide you through every challenge ahead. You are not alone on this journey. God is with you, and he is cheering you on. Step forward with courage. Step forward with boldness. Step forward, knowing that you are beloved and chosen by the one who holds your future in his hands. The best is yet to come. Walk in that truth. Walk in your destiny. And watch how God's love transforms your life from this moment forward.